Greetings, Wandering Beekeeper here. Today we are beginning something new. This series set in a heavily modded world. You're already seeing things from multiple magic mods and architectural mods. We're going to be looking at the magic mod Mana and Artifice today. We're in Minecraft 1.18, which makes a very large difference. A lot of the magic mods that made the leap from 1.16 to 1.18 got some serious revision in the process. Quite often for the better. So yes, that's a Botania mana pool there. Using it for a few things. I'm carrying rather a lot of stuff, as you'll notice. I've been working on it for a while, and I'm going to start touring it before I start capturing further developments in it. So this was originally one of the game-generated structures. I have updated it, upgraded it, added some bits here and there, but started with a game structure. I left the hay bale and campfire for the chimney to have smoke going out. We'll discuss what these devices are in a little bit. They're part of Mana and Artifice. For now, let's head on into the house and just start with where we are and what we're doing. This is specifically a wizard's workshop. Not just a mage, but a wizard. Mana and Artifice has 4 factions: demons, undead, fairy, and the Wizard's Council. I allied with the Wizard's Council, have made it to Tier 5. This is an Oculus. This is a device you build early in Mana and Artifice that will tell you about your progression. It tells you what your current tier is and gives you the tasks that you need to accomplish to qualify for the next tier. Generally, it gives you a greater number of tasks than you need to accomplish and says you have to do 10 out of these 13 or 12 out of these 17. Something like that. I'm pulling the numbers out of my ear here. The Oculus gives me an overview of where I am in Mana and Artifice. So let's just kind of walk through. I have captured all 6 of the power sources: Arcane, Earth, Ender, Fire, Water, and Air, and have 6 Eldrin well springs captured and bringing me mystic energy. So I have my power sources. There's no piping needed. We'll look at that in a little bit. We have the various sorcery functions. These are the effects that you can create. One that has the bar has gone green, I have learned by rote and don't need to muck about with the with the scribble desk to make spells. I can use a rote mechanic, which allows me to just slap it together on the fly because I know what I'm doing with this. I've done this enough times. I don't need to muck about with the going to the desk and building the spell and so forth. And it goes on. There are multiple tiers of effects going all the way up to Tier 5. Tier 5 gets to some very interesting stuff that I haven't done a lot with yet. Rituals are how you do the big stuff. The Ritual of Arcana, for example, takes a written process and turns it into a castable spell. It energizes your process. It's very Earth Dawn in a way. I'll be comparing to a tabletop role-playing game here a bit. there is you create the spell pattern, and then you do a thread weaving ritual to energize that pattern and make it, and then allow you to push it into the world. Some of these are fairly nasty sounding. The Ritual of the Burning Hells invokes the Demon Council and allows you to swear fealty to the demons. You gain a very different game progression after that. Same with the Fairy Court, Ritual of the Fairy Courts, and the Ritual of the Cold Dark. Those ally with you with the other factions. There are various others. For some of these are elemental, Ritual of the Deep Ocean, of the Syrian Inferno, the Untamed Wind, and the Flat Land. Excuse me, of Ancient Stone. Those are for obtaining elemental powers. Some fairly complex stuff here. Coming up with rituals where you can alter the time of day, make it rain, make the rain go away. Mana weaving. This is a key to the entire thing. We'll dig into that later. Mana weave crafting, using mana weaving at an altar to make things. Getting into rune scribing, rune smithing, constructs, which Mana and Artifice has gone further in the build and programming of golems, I think, than any other mod. This is one of the places where Mana and Artifice really shines. And then there are enchantments, because of course you can put enchantments other than the game's standard ones. Oh yes, those are available too. But there are so many others. This is a huge mod. It would take an entire series to really explore it, and I just want to give an overview here. So let's go on and get into some stuff here. This is the Magician's Workbench. This is one of the greater contributions of Mana and Artifice. I have kept this particular piece of furniture. You'll see it in other workshops that I've set up for other mods. It has its own internal storage equal to a chest. It has 2 crafting grids, so you can have 2 different things going. And it remembers the last 8 things you built. So if I click pedestal here, it automatically repopulates, and all I have to do is pick up. It's like having a mini JEI here. It remembers these last 8 things, and I can repopulate them into the grid just with a click, assuming I have the parts for them. Clear the grid back to the storage. It's almost like working with the ME crafting grid from Applied Energistics. Not quite, but it's interesting, and I really like the design of this workbench. I've kept it. Next to it, various materials from Mana and Artifice that you have to build your way through. Arcane Ash, Arcane Compound, etc., etc. It's a whole progression. This is where runesmithing happens. This is the runesmithing table, and it works by loading. Just grab these. You load a blank tablet, a blank rune pattern in here. You have a hammer and chisel, and then over here you have the pattern that you're going to hopefully create. Let's say I want to create a mundane amulet. Mundane amulet. Let's see. Shit. On completion, it goes blank, and there we go. We have the pattern. The clay is used for rubbing out mistakes. It's sort of a magical eraser. We'll grab a superheated purified Ventium ingot. There's a whole process of getting to superheated and purified. It involves a Rune Forge, which is what that is. The Rune Forge does some of your heating and processing and so forth that you can't do in a regular furnace. The anvil here, however, is where the action is about to happen. We're going to make a rune. So what we do, take our rune, our pattern, and we lay it on the anvil. We put our superheated Ventium ingot atop it. We take our Runesmith's hammer and we beat the heck out of it. For some reason, it isn't going. Isn't it going? It didn't. What did I do wrong? Okay, it's been a little bit since I've done this. He doesn't need the superheated purified. Let's try a regular superheated Ventium and see if it'll take that. I may have gotten the wrong metal. There we go. So that's the correct metal. You can tell because the anvil just went active. There we are. Helps if I practice this mod before I come back to it and try to do this. The graphics on this mod are also pretty impressive. There's a lot of object animation. Oh, notice that the pattern is now showing some wear. You can only hammer so many ingots into a pattern before it breaks, and you have to carve a new one. We now have the pattern, the rune, to make a mundane amulet. So we're going to make a mundane amulet. Let's see, where's my Chimera Monoweaver's wand? And we need the Codex Arcana. Let me go get my book. I've stashed it. Did I put it? I have put it up in the attic. Here we go. Got it. Working with Ars Nouveau most recently. Codex Arcana. We want to... This is the book that tells you how to use the mod. We have already done monoweaving. We've talked about rituals. We are in artificing right now, and we want to make a mundane amulet. I can remember. There's so much stuff. Oh, let's try the search function. Okay, there's the runesmithing recipe. Okay. Oh, we've made it. It's not a all right. That's a completed item. Well, like I said, it's been a little bit. So let's go to Artifice and look at this Amulet of the Battle Mage. This amulet, when worn, will increase the damage of my spells cast by 15% while I have a sword in the other hand, because even wizards need to multiclass. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is a monoweaving recipe, and we are going to produce it. Now, I'm going to do a few things here that you may or may not approve of. The goal of this is to work through the mod, not to spend lots of time mucking about gathering precursors. I have already created many of these things, so I'm just going to I do not need to go through the whole process of creating them again. Here is a mode of magic I already have stashed. I don't know if I have. I need a diamond sword and a mana crystal fragment. Let's see if I've got those stuck around here somewhere. I think I do. Got a lot of miscellaneous doodah squirreled away, but yeah. Alright, so boop. And we also needed a monocrystal fragment. There we go. Now we can go to the mono-weaving altar. This is one of the early things that you build, and it does some really cool stuff. And rather than yapping about it, let me just show you. We are going to make an amulet of the Battle Mage. I'll load that in. I'm going to take this mana crystal, and I'm going to load it with mana before I put it into... Note up at the top, there's my mana bar. I'm loading this with mana before putting it into the altar so that I don't put an uncharged crystal in. The mode of magic. This is all looking pretty familiar, your standard making altar. The difference is how you activate it. I have to have a Mono Weaver's wand, and I am actually going to do a conjuration here. There's my first mono weaving pattern created and locked in. Oh, the next one's a bear. I hate this next one. See what I mean about the graphics? There is our Amulet of the Battle Mage created. And that could go into, well, I already have an Amulet of Mana Regen, so, won't be swapping that out. That's from Ars Nouveau, yes. I've got items from a lot of different mods right now. The armor I'm wearing is from Mystical Agriculture, and we're not going to even talk about that right now. So we've done a mono weaving. We've done a runesmithing. This is the spell table, design table, where you build your spells. You have a variety of ways of launching them, targeting yourself, making it a projectile. This particular spell laid into the table is one I call Frost Boom. It's a projectile that does frost damage. It does 15 damage. It lasts for 10 seconds, and it's just absolutely brutal. This is what I used to take down the Hydra in Twilight Forest, and we'll talk about that some other time. I wish I'd recorded it. It was an epic kill. But, yeah, you work through picking your delivery method and your effect, and then any modifiers, and you have to load ink and vellum and ash into the table so that it can produce the scroll, and then you have to gather your reagents and perform the Ritual of Arcana, and that is the spell that has way too many reagents. I am not going to do one of them, do this thing right now. This is a study desk. When I find tattered fragments and loot boxes, I can drop them in here and gain progress on those lovely root bars that we saw earlier. Gain more knowledge of a particular effect. This is an affinity table, and we're not even going to get into that. It is theoretically possible to change the elemental affinities of a spell or object. This is a Eldrin fume filter. It's using a it's burning coal through a mote of magic in order to produce arcane energy. This is the very first generator you get. So it's releasing Eldrin energy right now, which is being largely soaked up by the table next to it. Which is this is a disenchanter. It takes enchantments off of items and puts them back into runes so you can put the enchantment on something else. Those are energy conduits. The well springs feed energy into some sort of void dimension, in Hilbert space or something, who knows what, and you then tap it back out where you need it. So that's fire and water and ender energies that are all being supplied up there. I've put those three in close to try and get this thing working. I've not managed to get this to actually de-enchant these boots. I don't know what the problem is. I'm doing something wrong, but haven't had the time to figure it out. Over here we have the rune inscription table. This is where you create upgrades for things. This is a bit of a complex process. Let's not delve into that too much. I just wanted to point to it to see what it is. Oh, and we've been ignoring this guy. This is a construct. You should recognize the bell metaphor here. Been used. You may remember the Golomancer's. Sorry, you may remember the Golomancer's bell from Thaumcraft. Thaumcraft's Golomancy was a really interesting take on it, but a bit buggy. Getting farming, harvesting, and crop gathering automated was a little twitchy. The golems had a tendency to end up standing around with their heads spinning. Follow me. This is an obsidian battle droid, basically. The entire construct is made of obsidian. He has a blade arm with a lapis sword and a shield. And if I go outside, he has rocket legs. He will fly out to meet me. Rather than, screw those stairs. We have several options. I can tell him to interact, which allows me to connect him with a job board, Loadstar for more complex stuff. Tell him to move, to stay, to eat an item, to attack, which is always useful. I'm going to tell him to stay and park him here, because I really don't have a need of doing... Oh, I forgot to put my hammer back. The hammer away. Shame on me. Always put your tools away when you're done. Now that it is night, we can see that the braziers have lit. They automatically light at dusk and go out at dawn. Those give me a nice... tell you very clearly a wizard lives here. And then there's this, which is a wizard's sanctum. This puppy gives me massive bonuses. That is the big altar. Yes, there are all 6 of the power sources around it, and the pedestals. Very standard configuration. Central altar, 8 pedestals for putting your material components on. The graphics on this are really nice. You don't quite get the dissolving and streaming effect quite as good as Thaumcraft had, but the overall effect is really well done. And then let's go over here, because this is an Eldrin Wellspring. I promised we'd look at one. This is an Eldrin Wellspring. It is a naturally occurring phenomenon. It's visible because it's been captured. There's a special unguent you have to use to be able to see these things before you can, in order to find them. Once you get the thing built, then it goes visible. So there is this massive lens here that the energy passing through, some of it is tapped off and dropped into that void dimension that I spoke of. And there are 6 of these scattered around this Minecraft world. This one is the arcane one. The earth one is very deep underground. The air one is high up in the mountains. The fire one, I think, is out in a desert. I have to go look. The water one is on the banks of the ocean. This is a construct gantry with affinity stones around it. This allows me to, I can order one of these constructs into the gantry or build one in the gantry and give it much greater magical powers than I can by just stacking up the pieces on an armor stand and throwing animus dust over them. There's a tremendous amount of options here. This is another battle droid here. That goes to the Twilight Forest, and that's a whole nother mod, and we're not going to get into that. Let's stay out of that, shall we? This is a delegation station, which has a patrol order running in it. The constructs that are assigned to this delegation station will go on patrol to 5 locations that I have designated with marking runes. I've actually taken 5 runes. I've made these marking runes at the anvil, gone out and marked these positions in person. So these constructs will go out to each of these points, pause at each one for 1 second, and then move on to the next. Whether they succeed or fail, they go into a sleep mode for 1 second, and then they loop back and start patrolling again. Little concerned that we're not seeing either of them. I wonder if they've run afoul of some hostile mobs at some point. They've been out there for a while. Oh, well, there's one of them. So yeah, looks like they may have come to a pause mode of some sort. I may have to run some diagnostics, find out what's going on. Over here, we have a Loadstar. Now, the Loadstar allows much more complex logic. This one is set up to send the construct out adventuring, and then any loot that it picks up is brought back and put in this chest. It comes back with a random assortment of adventuring loot. Works better if you have a grabber arm and a storage torso on your construct. This Rune Forge has been upgraded to a brimstone forge. I put it out front to brag about it, basically, and because it looks so cool, this sort of black and gold thing. you know, I haven't actually used it. If I do, having it outdoors, although under a wooden roof, not so great. But having it outdoors seemed like a good idea. I should have, I mean, want to take out a couple of slabs just for verisimilitude. Okay, so this is a very brief overview of Mana and Artifice. We have barely touched on much of it. Let's do one last thing here. Let's show off the spells. I picked this particular location because it's right next to this. I have a proving ground right next to me. So down here we have a dark area. Let's throw a light ball. These are mage lights. They don't go out. Imagine never having to carry torches again. Never running out of light while you're exploring. Being able to put a light anywhere you want and find out, well, what is way over there before I head that direction? It's a long distance away. Wow, that's far enough that the spell expired. That's pretty freaking impressive. This book has a lot of stuff in it. Whoops. Hello. Oh, a will-o-wisp. Well, that's why we have Frostboom. Shoot at me, will you? Come on, damn it. Got him. 2 hits from Frostboom is generally enough to kill a will-o-wisp. The will-o-wisps hate me because they are part of the fairy court and I swore with allegiance to the wizards. And once you swear allegiance to one of the courts, the other 4 of them just don't want you anymore. I don't want to go tearing this area up. Let's go out somewhere where I can let off the boom bolt without destroying some really spectacular scenery. I mean, the world generation in this heavily modded version has just been amazing. By the way, I am flying using a Flugel tiara from Britannia, which is powered by a greater band of mana. Let me pop that open. We have not even talked about Britannia, but I have the Flugel tiara, and then down here I have a greater band of mana, which I occasionally recharge in the mana pool by my front steps. Let us set off something big here. Oh, hey, that's a starbuncle. That's from ours. That little brown squirrel with the blue antlers, that is a starbuncle, and that is one of the nature spirits from Ars Nouveau. Really, really a neat mod. Let's do a break bolt. And let's target something that's not going to have anything living around it. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a great thing to shoot at. Intrusion into our world. Netherrack hanging around. Let's get rid of it. Pafoo. Pafoo. Break bolt. Let's see, where's my boom bolt? Just boom. Boom bolt is, and here's fire boom, just in case you want to light something up. Dropping that on a group of pillagers is horrifying. Chain lightning needs to be up close and personal. You let that off and all the pillagers get lightning zapped. So yeah, the spells in this are incredibly useful. Light ball alone made my life so much easier. And that is Mana and Artifice in a nutshell. I can go much deeper into it if people would like. If you would like to see an in-depth exploration of any aspect of Mana and Artifice, let me know. There are comments below. I'll be moving on to some of the other mods and doing overviews of them, kind of glancing through. This game world also has serious advancement in Ars Nouveau and Elemental Craft and Mystical Agriculture, all three of which have really strong things to recommend them. I've picked and chosen from all four of them. Process of doing this. Oh, by the way, notice that Breakbolt, that's a mining spell. I now have all this stuff that I blew up back there. It didn't you notice the blocks didn't drop? Here they are. I can mine at a distance. So yeah, a lot of bits and pieces chosen. This has a lot more to do, that I can go into, but for now, that's enough. So thank you for joining me. I'm the Wandering Beekeeper. Oh well.